Perfect.
All right, so Nicole, you are on. Go ahead and take it away.
Okay. So I will try really hard to keep this under 20 minutes, but I had notes and I didn't know I had a time limit beforehand. So I'm going to talk really fast. So if you want to type your questions down below, I'll try to address them, and yeah, we'll get started. So most of us who have been doing this for a while, we've been using the portion fix system, and this last year they came out with the ultimate portion fix, which was just this really awesome course that I had the opportunity to go through and just learn even more about what we've been using for so long, and just kind of the science behind it and why it works. So I'm going to share a little bit about meal planning with that system. But before I did that, since we're all starting out and we've all finished our prep week and everything, I kind of wanted to touch on a couple of points that I'd like you to address before we head into Monday, okay? And what that is going to be is just kind of your wellness overview. So before you even get started and before you jump both feet in, I want you to think about how you're feeling right now. So a couple of points I want you to look at are, how are you sleeping? Now, if you have a new baby or you have a baby on the way, wink, wink, that might be a little bit different for each of us, but how are you sleeping? How is your energy level? How are your sugar cravings? What does your water intake look like? And just some other factors, like since it's just us ladies, we can talk about, our menstrual cycle. I don't know about you, but that throws me for a loop every month. And I feel like I have to get my mindset and a mind check every single time and get my cravings in check every time that happens. So those are all things that are going to impact our success, and all things that we have to take a really honest look at for success. Because if we look at our day and we're like, oh yeah, I'm eating pretty good, and then you really dive into that and you look and you dialogue and you diary all of the foods that you're eating, you may find that there are some things on that list, when you take a real honest look at it, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I could probably cut out, let's be realistic, maybe like orange juice or something like that. We all think, oh, a glass of orange juice is really healthy for us. But really, you would be far better off having that orange if you just use that as your purple container. You have the dietary fiber that's with that. You have the natural sugars that are with that, but you're not just drinking straight orange juice. That is the sugar component of that. Looking at your soda intake. And I never tell anybody to go cold turkey, because I feel like you're setting yourself up for a really, really hard time trying to just cut things out cold turkey. But there are ways, and if you have a problem with this, definitely reach out to your personal coach, because they can help you find a system that will gradually take those things out of your diet. I still have soda every now and then, but most of the time I have one and I'm like, man, this really isn't as good as I remember it, because I've cut it out. And it's just a process of getting yourself there. For instance, like your coffee. If you are a big coffee drinker, I love coffee, but it took me a while to get to the black option of coffee, or black coffee with a splash of almond milk or almond cream that's completely unsweetened. There's a big difference between having a cup of coffee with, like, let's face it, creamer ratio to coffee, which is tasty, right? Or having a real cup of coffee that is for the purpose of enjoying the coffee. So it's getting those sugar cravings in check and identifying what those weaknesses are throughout our day, and trying to do our very best to eliminate those so that you can have success. So that leads me into why. Why are you pursuing a healthy eating style? Like, take the workouts out of it. We know working out is good for you. It helps in a lot of different areas. We know that exercise is good for your heart health, and everyone could tell you till they're blue in the face. But what's really going to make changes for you, even beyond weight loss, is changing your diet. Well, mindset and diet. And we'll talk a lot about mindset with this group this month, but is your diet. and not looking at it. When I say diet, I don't mean like keto diet or, you know, what's another one? South Beach diet. I don't mean like that regards of a diet. I mean your lifestyle, your eating style, and transforming that to be overall beneficial to your body, the 80-20, as we would say. So the best way to find consistency with that and to make it a true lifestyle is finding your why. I think we can all raise a hand when we say we want to look better, we want to have more confidence, and we want to feel better. But there's something even deeper beyond wanting to look better or wanting to even feel better, right? So for instance, let me give you mine. I am a nurse, for those of you who don't know. I know Alicia and Ashley know, but for those watching later. And so I've been a nurse for almost 11 years. And in that time frame, I've seen a lot of sick people, a lot of sick young people. And a lot of those people in their 40s, 50s, and even now, like, I'm not even kidding, guys, the age continues to go down, that I'm seeing people in here where 10 years ago, I maybe as a baby nurse saw quote unquote old people who had these diseases. And with each year, people are younger and younger and younger that are coming into the hospital with these quote unquote old people issues. And so that's part of my basis. My why is I see the effects of an unhealthy lifestyle. And that, I mean, that's a whole gamut of things, right? No exercise, smoking, alcohol, drugs. I mean, you name it, there's, each of us have our vice that we have to deal with. But whatever that is, it's causing havoc on our bodies. And so I see that side of things. But I also see my kids, and I see how I grew up with body image issues, and how I grew up with feeling like I needed to be on a diet all the time, and how I watched my family maybe not make the best healthy choices in their life. And that came with me as I was an adult. And so in my adult life, I was battling, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? Trying to lose weight and trying to feel better about myself. And I want to avoid that for my kids. Like, if I can teach them healthy portions and a moderation lifestyle where they can still enjoy the things we enjoy, like, let's face it, I'm not ever going to not have dessert, not ever going to never have a beer again, because I enjoy those things, but it's moderation, it's portion control, and learning those things. So find your why, because when it's hard and you want to just like go off the end and you're like, forget it, you are going to need to remember your why. And also, I want to put a little plug here for the Made to Crave devotional, because this is really going to help you tackle your why as well as we go through this month, because it's really just helping us to realize that God made us the way that he wanted us, and that he gave us this temple, he gave us our bodies to care for. And it's not a bad thing to pursue health and fitness and nutrition when we have the regards of wanting to make our body a temple that is worthy of glorifying God in whatever way. And let's face it, we have to be healthy in order to feel like, number one, we even want to do that. Like, to feel like I want to get up and I want to be nice to my kids, like, it helps. If I'm feeling good, if I'm resting well, and if I'm getting into the word, number one. Okay. So the Made to Crave devotional is really going to help us dive into those emotional things. So quick, to the point, I hope, of your why, let's dig into meal planning. Okay. So the whole basis behind the Ultimate Portion Fix is making balancing your macronutrients super easy. So I used to use MyFitnessPal. I'm sure a lot of us, it's a free app, so why wouldn't we use it, right? And it's great until you meet the Ultimate Portion Fix. And then you're going, I mean, it rocked my world, because I'm not counting calories anymore. I'm not counting percentages of my daily macros. This program is doing it already for me. So balanced macronutrients, what does that look like? That looks like 40% of carbohydrates, 30% of your protein, and 30% healthy fats. Beachbody is awesome with the way that they give you a formula to calculate what is going to be your balanced macronutrients. Your macronutrients are going to be different than mine unless we happen to be the same weight and the same exercise style and the same amount of activity that we're doing within our week. But they're going to tailor that for you. So you have an algorithm. Now, most of us in here, we've already, I know some of us have the 10 rounds challenge pack, and the 10 rounds challenge pack does not, that I found anyway, have an algorithm in there, which was, I was a bit disappointed because I tried to find that. But if you go into the 21-day fix program materials, you should be able to find that same formula to be able to calculate that. So let me turn you around here because I want to show this to you. So if you go into your 21-day fix, and Ashley, correct me, because I would hate to tell people that they can find this in their program materials when they cannot, but 21-day fix.
It should be available to everybody, right? If you have access to BOD,
Okay.
you have access to these materials, correct?
Perfect. Okay. I was afraid that maybe it wouldn't because I have the ultimate portion fix. So going into your program materials, you're going to go to starting here. And this is up here is going to be the algorithm that you're going to use to find your eating plan. Now, if you're doing 80-day obsession, if you are doing lift 4, they have their own individual eating plan that you can look at with that. But since 10 rounds didn't have one specifically, I thought I would show you this one in case you wanted to look at that. Okay, so that's going to be the important starting point. Oops. Let me show you the wall for a little bit. That's the important starting point for you to know how many containers you're going to have in a day. Okay, so I got real nerdy on you guys here. I even have a dry erase board. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I'm a homeschool mom. Alicia can relate. Well, and Ashley, yeah, you can relate. Well, all of us, if you have kids, you're a homeschool mom right now. So all of you can relate. So anyway, I'm going to use, for sake of all easy purposes, Plan B, okay? So I did my calculations. Most of the time, I am a Plan B. Why wouldn't I be a Plan B? Well, let's say I was going to be in a bulk phase. I would love to be in a bulk phase, but I am not. Then I would be, sorry, I've got a message. I would be consuming more calories because I'm trying to build muscle. So I would be consuming more than this. But so let's assume Plan B. How am I going to make this into my meal plan? So first of all, if you're not familiar with it, 4G, 3P, all of this, these are how many green containers, so how many veggies you can have, how many purples, how many fruits you can have, how many reds, how many proteins, your yellows, which are your carbohydrates, your blues, which are your healthy fats, oranges, your seeds and your dressings, and then your 4 teaspoons, which is going to be your nut butters or your oils that you're going to be cooking with, things like that. So how are you going to turn this into a meal plan? The first option is the portion fix. So you're going to combine a couple of these containers with your breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner to your liking. Now, a couple of tips with that is you're going to want to plan on eating every 2 to 3 hours so that you're keeping your energy up and that you're preventing that starvation feeling. And I know I'm notorious for this, especially at work, because I don't eat for literally 8 to 10 hours until I get a lunch. And then I'm like, I want to eat it all. You know, I've got this like empty pit in my stomach and I cannot fill it. The idea between eating every 2 to 3 hours, depending on when you open your eating window, when you break your fast, right, breakfast, is going to depend when, or determine when you do your 2 to 3 hours every 2 to 3 hours. But you want to do that so that you are preventing that starvation feeling, okay? So at each meal, you're going to want to make sure you're combining containers so that you are completing that, that protein and those macronutrients together, because you're going to be more full for a longer period of time. So what does that look like? Well, if I'm going to have a breakfast, I'm going to combine a protein, especially. I'm going to combine a carbohydrate because it's early in my day and I want to burn that off before later. And I'll talk about that in a minute. I'm going to add greens. My biggest tip is add a green to every single meal. You, number one, can't have too many greens. Okay. So if you're required 4, that's like the minimum. If you're eating an extra cup of spinach, that's like 15 calories and vitamins and minerals, right? So it's not going to hurt you to eat an extra cup of spinach in your day. But so definitely adding a green to your main meals is really important to make sure you're getting those in. But you want to combine those together. So for instance, I'm going to look at my meals for the week, and I'm going to choose maybe 2, maybe 3, if I'm feeling really adventurous, breakfasts that I'm going to use for my week. And I'm going to rotate those because I want to make it easy. Okay. If I'm trying to do elaborate pancake breakfast for my kids every day, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to fail at it unless I've made a humongous batch of pancakes that they can take out of the freezer or the fridge and use them instead. But we have to be realistic, right? And that's just not going to happen every single day. So find your go-tos and rotate those. So for me, I often resort to eggs, piece of toast. I add spinach or kale to my eggs, and I add a teaspoon of peanut butter to my toast. So I've gone through 4 food groups there. I have my green, I have my protein, I have my carbohydrate, and I have a healthy fat to round that off. Okay? So trying to look at combining those. They ask you or remind you to combine your containers because the last thing you want to do is have eaten all of your containers and then you get down to like dinner time and all you have left is a blue and an orange. Do you know what that's going to get you? You're going to have an avocado, a quarter of an avocado, and some ranch dressing, maybe. Or maybe part of a ranch dressing and like some pumpkin seeds. So while that sounds pretty tasty, actually, it's not going to be a complete meal and you're probably not going to be entirely satisfied for your dinner, right? So the next thing I would recommend is make sure that you try to be finished with your yellows before 5 p.m. Now, obviously, that may not happen all of the time, but the idea is your carbohydrates are going to take longer to burn unless you're working out in the evening time. And so you want to have enough time before you're going to bed to kind of burn that off and start your fasting period for overnight. I always try to do that, to hit that 5 p.m. mark. And it's just easier to do that if you're doing like, maybe one with your snack in the afternoon. So whether that's, a rice cake or maybe I'll have a sandwich where, I'll have 2 pieces of bread instead of 1. And then there's my 2 yellows for that meal, just finding a way to do that. The next thing, we talked about mixing and matching your containers, but then keeping your treats to no more than 2 to 3 times a week. And it's important, and I often have to remind myself that that means 2 to 3 yellows a week. So that means if you are replacing, let's say you want to have a glass of wine on an evening, that's one of your yellows. So you need to be taking out your piece of toast or your sandwich for the day in order to stay on track with your yellows. But that's only 2 to 3 times a week. Obviously, there's flexibility in this, but you have to remember what your ultimate goal is going to be determined on how many treats you're having. If treats are going to derail you, which they often do me, if I'm being honest, I can try to have 1 treat, but I'm often battling with myself because I want to eat like the entire treat, or I can't just have 1 s'more. Like I want all the s'mores. It's really hard for me. So I'm often better off if I just avoid the 2 to 3 treats and maybe just stick with 1 in my plan. That's going to look different for you. But just kind of keeping that in mind to keep you on what you want to have for success. Let's see here. The next thing, drinking your water. I know we've talked about this. I won't dive super deep and long into it, but oftentimes when we are thirsty, our bodies are telling us we're hungry. That's not always the case. We just need to drink our water. For most of us, that's half of our body weight in ounces per day. So if you are 160 pounds, I am plus or minus that right now with quarantine snacks, then I'm going to have 85 ounces, 80 ounces of water in my day. Find a cup, keep it filled, do what you need to do to get your water in. If you're drinking that amount of water, it's also going to help you to stay away from your sodas and your sugary drinks and things like that, because you're going to be replacing those with water. Okay. Our bodies are mostly water. So if we are dehydrated, even just a little bit dehydrated, we are not functioning optimally. Okay. That's like the science nerdy part of me going down to the cell. Okay. But it does make a big difference. And let's talk about the fly on the wall, right? And I'm sorry if it's TMI, but I'm a nurse and we're all moms, but dehydration equals constipation, and that's no good. So just saying that, and Shakeology, those are like my amazing life-saving hacks for that area. Okay. All right. So I want to share a couple of tips when you're doing your meal planning and kind of helping you with this, because it's all easy on paper until you try to put it in action. Okay. So I found this on Pinterest, and I will share this to the group if I can. Otherwise, I will just try to make my own for you guys. But I'm a pen and paper, check the box kind of girl. So this works for me. I put it in a page protector and it goes in my kitchen. And this allows me to check off my boxes as I'm going. After I eat breakfast, I try to plan out the rest of my day accordingly with the options I've already given myself for the week, right? So my snack options, my lunch options, and most often we do dinner, we plan dinner. But that way I'm keeping myself more on track for my day rather than just going for a whim and hoping that I make a good choice in that day. So whatever that looks like for you, if you do better planning your meals out for the entire week, then plan them out for the entire week. Breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner. Do that. For me, by day 3, if I've planned it on Sunday, I may not want what I planned on Wednesday for lunch. Like, I may not be feeling it. That's okay. And I'm not going to eat it, because if I'm not feeling it, I don't want to do it. So I reevaluate and I look at my thing and I'm like, okay, I'm not really feeling that. I'm going to choose something else. But if you have good foods at your disposal in your fridge, you should be able to substitute what you want fairly easily, because that's what's available to you. Does that make sense? Oh, okay. Felt like I did like just a whole 180 there, so I'm sorry. But anyway, so this is going to help you keep track of what you're doing. Now, for those of you who are more tech savvy, there's an app for this, 21-Day Fix app, and it's free. And you can do this exact same thing, keeping track of your containers on that app. So there's that. This is another thing that is really handy and that I will post as well, is this list of different food options. So, don't get bored with the same veggie every single meal, every single time, because you know how to cook broccoli, let's say. Okay, broccoli's easy. So some of us can get stuck on the same thing every single day. You need variety or you're going to get bored. And if you're bored, then you're going to start looking for a different thing to substitute for those veggies. Okay. So food lists are really good. Now, if you have the Ultimate Portion Fix guide, In your book, they have a list of these containers, which is essentially the exact same thing that I just showed you, just in a more elaborate scale here. When you're looking at these lists, if you've been doing this for a little bit and you're like, man, I am still just not seeing results that I want to. I feel like I'm eating on the green list. I feel like I'm sticking to these food lists, but I don't feel like I'm being successful. What you want to do on these lists is, while we have all of these options, there's kind of a hierarchy of what is the best and what is maybe still okay, but not the best for you. So when you're looking at our greens list, for instance, the very top 1/3 of the portion are going to be what you want to look at first, because those are going to be the most nutrient dense and the best for you. So number 1 is kale. Some of us are like, yeah, and some of us are like, oh my gosh, I don't want to eat kale. I'm telling you, I like it even better than spinach now, and that was not the case when I first started. Just saying, taste buds can change, and you can flavor things. Don't be afraid of flavor. There are so many awesome salt-free options out there that you can bring life and spice and everything to your foods. So you want to flavor them to keep you interested. So let's compare this. So kale is number 1. So if I'm having a cup of kale versus the very bottom one down here is going to be a cup of pickles chopped. Okay, pickles are a vegetable, but if I am choosing to eat pickles for every single veggie or a large amount of my veggies, that's not going to give me the best results. Well, pickles, for one, are going to have more sodium than kale, so you're going to retain water, and that's just not going to be as nutrient dense as your other hierarchy foods. So keep that in mind when you're looking at things. The very top 1/3 is going to have the most nutritional impact for you when you're choosing foods. Okay? Okay. All right, let's see here. Okay.
Oh, I gotta give you the 5-minute countdown. Sorry for that.
Okay. No, that's okay. If you have questions, like, post them now, because I feel like I've just been like, wow, all over the place with this. So,
I think it's really great. Keep going. 5 minutes.
Okay. All right. 5 minutes. Okay. So I want to point out, each of you should have gotten a Beachbody nutrition guide with your challenge pack. This has got really awesome recipes in it. So if you're like, I have no idea where to start, right here. What's awesome about these recipes is they are already fixated. Is that, I'm going to create a word. They are already fixated for you, okay? Which means they already have the container equivalents on here for the recipe for you. So you know how much of your containers you're going to need to allot for this simple breakfast recipe. Of course, the one that I choose is like cutting up vegetables and putting it on a plate. So, but this next one, like the pumpkin pancakes, if you want pumpkin pancakes, well, you know it's going to be this amount of equivalent for your containers. This is a really good resource. It came with your challenge pack. You may not know about this though. On Beachbody On Demand, you have that same option in the nutrition tab. You have the recipe book and the fixate videos, okay? If you click on those, you can click in the video and it'll give you recipes, and there are hundreds of different recipes on there. All of those are fixate approved, okay? So when you're looking at the dinner options, let's say you want to choose a dinner option. What I'm going to encourage you to do is look at the equivalent of your containers for the dinner option. Plan your day with dinner first. All right, I'm going to have spaghetti and meatballs, a healthified fixate spaghetti and meatballs. Well, I'm going to need my protein. I'm going to need a yellow and probably a green, etc. So I'm going to block those out for my dinner, and then I'm going to plan accordingly for the rest of my day. Does that make sense? Because if you really want to try that recipe with pasta, well, you're going to need to plan for that in your day. Oftentimes what I'll do is I won't plan for the pasta in my day, And then I end up having zoodles in the evening, which are still, I've still have come to enjoy them, but I would have rather had pasta, but I made my choices, right? And had all my carbs at the beginning of the day. And so now I'm having zoodles. Had I wanted pasta, I should have planned for that in the first place and then cut out a carb, maybe up in the higher parts of my day. Okay. All right. Have we hit the 5-minute mark? 1 minute. Okay. All right, guys. I don't know what I can plan for 1 minute. Ooh, I'll show you this. This is Color the Rainbow. You may be like, okay, this is all good. I've got this down. I want to do it, but my family is not on board. My kids will not eat a veggie for their life. If I'm being honest, I don't have that problem in my family. The reason why, they don't have an option. Now they have an option of which veggie they want, but they're choosing a veggie. And it's just, we've created that habit. This didn't happen overnight. It was when we changed our eating, we sat down and we said, hey guys, we're not going to have pizza, but maybe once a week now. We're not going to be going over here for this snack. We're going to have veggies and carrots. Broccoli and carrots. That's your option. Okay. You don't want carrots? Okay. How about snap peas? I'm giving them a choice, but it's a choice of 2 healthy things. Maybe they don't want a veggie at that time. Okay. Let's choose apples and peanut butter or yogurt and fruit. Whatever it is, I'm giving them an option, but I'm giving them 2 healthy options. And that's going to give them the power of choice, because we know our kids want a choice. They want that independence, but we are still ultimately in control of their choice. And also that's going to come down to what you're putting and buying in your house. If I want to be successful and I want my kids to make good choices, and even my husband for that matter, when I'm going grocery shopping, I have to stay away from the things that are going to derail me and everyone else in our house. And if I'm being quite honest, that was tough over these last couple of weeks. And so now the accountability portion and things like that, getting back on track with all of that, cutting those things out of our house just makes things 100% better. This is not a foul-proof system for not ever feeling like you're stepping off track, right? We all will step off track, but it's the people in our group, the ladies who are on a common walk, right, that help us when we do step off track to get back on. That's the community and the accountability portion that has helped me to be successful in this last 1.5 years. And I know Ashley can attest to that as well. And many of ladies that are not on here this morning. So it is possible. It just takes some time to get used to, and give yourself grace, give yourself time. And if you're having a hard time and you need an extra layer of accountability, lean into the group. On the challenge app, I know I'm past my 1 minute now, but on the challenge app, it's private. No one else can see what you are posting in there except for the ladies in the group. So if you feel comfortable with that, post your meals for the day. Get that extra layer of accountability. Hey guys, I am feeling tempted with the snacks in my cupboard. Like, I'm saying it out here so that maybe I won't be tempted, or I'm going to have more accountability to you ladies. Okay? Give me the if you need me to stop, or does it just stop recording?
Well, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to stop recording real quick. So thank you, Nicole.
Okay.
Awesome cleaning tips, and we'll go ahead and add that to the group as well. So if anyone missed it, the group, okay.